today to finish our raccoon, and I did decide to edge coat the ears because the interfacing was showing, so I edge coated the ears, so that's all done. And then I also decided that I am going to go ahead and use piping on the raccoon. So I did one piece of piping offline. I got this piping off of Amazon. It's foam welt cord, 3/32, 2.5 millimeter diameter. And it seems to work really good. So that's what I used. I got my piece of vinyl here that I'm going to make my cording out of. And I am going to stick some double-side tape down it so that I can hold that piping in place while before I sew it. So I got that on. Rip that off. We're going to take this piece off here. And then I'm going to take this cording, piping, whatever you want to call it, and lay it down the middle of this, and that's why I put double-sided tape on it. And then I'm going to match up these two corners, and I'm going to push and make sure that my edges meet here and my piece of cording that's in here is pushed up against this edge. And I am just going to put some clips in it just to make sure it doesn't pop open. And I'm going to do that all the way down this piece of cording. And there we have our piece of piping. It sticks pretty good, so I guess I don't need to hold it down. So we're going to set this aside. And here's my first one I made. Since this is a curve, we really need to snip some spots in our binding so that it'll lay better. So just go in and make some snips. And I'm going to do it along the whole length. Okay, we got that part done. Before I change my foot to put this piping on, I'm going to sew the edges of this binding that's going to go down here at the bottom, only because I don't want it to have raw edges. I think the pattern shows you leaving the raw edges, but I really don't think I want to have raw edges. So I'm just going to sew a little 1/8 inch seam. Get all those extra strings off. Get rid of those little extra threads there. Then we're going to find the center of this. Let's put a little tiny notch in it up there. I'm going to put it on here, just like this. And then we're going to just sew this little piece, baste this little piece in. Okay. Then I'm going to change my foot to, it's a piping foot, so that the piping will go right along this edge right here. It's kind of indented in. I don't know if you're there. Maybe you can see it there. It's indented in so that the piping goes right in there, which makes doing piping so much easier and you can get a much better job. That's on. So now we're going to take our piping that we made, and we're just going to start right here at the halfway mark where you have your clip. Once you get back over here, you want to cut your remaining whatever's left so that these two pieces line up. We're pretty close to it. You got a little leeway there because of the piping. You just don't want it to go there, so that it lines up like that. Then we're going to wrap this piece around so that when we sew our piping, it'll catch it. So pull it kind of tight. Just like that. So that's going to cover our piping. Okay. So then we're going to take our, come back to our machine, get all of our junk out of the way. And we're going to line up our bag where this curve is in the foot is going to fit on that piping. Whoops, I just broke my clip. Oh, that's okay. We'll survive. Okay, so it lies right up there, and that's going to make it where when you sew, it's going to sew real close to this piping, okay? And there we have our piping. Okay, why can't I see the thread? We have our piping all put on. Looks really good. Now we can put our ears on because now we have our piping on. So now we're going to get our template and line this up. And we're going to mark our little holes where we're going to put our rivets. Okay. And do the same with this side. And that should make our ears go right. So we have our 2 ears that we, remember we put the rivet in it. No, first we need to cut the holes. So there's my mark right there. Punch that hole. And there's that mark right there. Punch that hole. And then we can put our ears in. There we go, and that's how our raccoon will look. Now I'm going to go and set the rivets on that, and then I'll be right back. Our ears are now riveted on. And now we're going to go to the next step. We're going to set this aside for right now. And I'm going to put a back pocket, a slip pocket on the back of this bag. So I'm going to take my lining, and I have it interfaced also. I'm going to take my bag, and I'm going to mark my centers. Okay. Then I need to put my nameplate on. Open that up. Figure out how far up. I want to put it up higher than that. Probably, let's do 2.5 inches. Yeah, that looks good. And then we're going to center it right there. Some little marks there. There we go. Put a little piece of duct tape on the back of that. That's just to keep it from these back pieces not tearing the lining. There we go. So just put that there. And our name tag is on. So now we're going to take our lining right sides together. And this is a little different than the way the pattern calls for. I just like doing this slip pocket instead of the back zipper pocket, but feel free to do the back zipper pocket. Then we're going to open this up. Just roll those seams so that the inside lining seam is down a little bit. And we're just going to top stitch this. Okay, it doesn't look like I did a very good job cutting out that lining. So I'm just going to line it up there. Okay, that's better. Okay, then we're going to take our back panel that we have right here. I'm going to mark our centers. Turn this over, and then we're just going to center our pocket on there. Make sure our bottom especially lines up, because the top can be anywhere. So now we're going to sew the slip pocket onto the back. And this is just a basting stitch. Later on we'll sew it. This is a little long, so we'll cut that off to make it even. Okay, now that the pocket's all sewn on, we're going to do our binding for the back. So we're going to do what we did before, and I'm going to take this little piece of my material to do the binding. Put some tape on it. and sew up these sides. Okay. And I'm just going to fold that in the width of the tape. That in. Oops, I got a little wide there. And then I'm just going to sew these ends together. I don't know why that lighter sometimes doesn't want to work. Okay, and we're going to sew this one. Let's try this lighter. I think that green one likes lighting very often. Okay, those are all done. Then we'll find our center. And we'll line that up and just baste it on. And then we're going to snip okay. And then we'll do what we did before. We'll just line those up, grab some clips. And then once again, when we get back here to the beginning, we're just going to snip it off even. So that that will go in there just like that. And then we're going to pull that piece over. Put an edge binding on our piping. And then I did put my binding or welting foot, as they call it. Now we have our back panel all done. And we can cut this off. I didn't cut this off before on the other front. I guess I could have cut that off even. And I'll cut this off even. Okay, and set those two pieces aside. I just realized I had not turned my camera back on. So I want to explain to you what I've done. This is my front lining piece, and this is the slip pocket piece. When you cut out your slip pocket piece. It's rectangular. I did mine a little bit different than the instructions say. I folded it right sides together and sewed down this side and down this side. Then I turned it inside out, and then I added this trim to the top, and it's just a one by however long this is piece of vinyl, and with a marking down the middle. I put a piece of double-sided tape along the wrong side of the tape. Then I took my pocket and I laid it on this trim at the halfway mark, and then I folded this piece of trim over and clipped it, and then did a top stitching across the top of it. And then I took this piece of slip pocket and I set it on my lining piece and centered it. I think it was 1.5 inches up, and be sure and clip your center so you know where your centers are. And then I sewed the pocket top stitched all the way around. So that's how I did that. In the process, I added this little tag to it. I just slipped it right underneath this pocket before I sewed it. And it says "You Matter," and I put that pretty much in all my bags because side awareness. So I put that in all my bags. So that was that piece. And then I took the other lining piece, panel lining piece, and I attached it to the back panel that I had just made, and attached it, just basted it around the outside of it. So those two things are done. Now the next thing we have before we put this this piece of panel on is we need to attach these ears. I want to make sure that my ears are kind of in the right place here, right placement. So that's there. And I'm just going to clip it to hold it on there. And then I'm going to take this one and make sure it's lined up the right way, and it is. So I did that. That part's good. And I'm just going to clip it on there so it won't move. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in this stitch right here, or this one. It'll probably be this one. It'll be this one. And then I'm going to sew around all the way into this stitch. And I am going to pull my stitches to the back. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this eye, is start at one of these points, I'll be this one, and go around this way and end in that starting hole. The designer does suggest putting some Decaville back here to give a little strength to the ears. So I'm going to just cut out a piece of light Decaville. And I'm going to stick a piece of, I think she said to glue it on, but I'm just going to that should be about the right size. And I'll take another piece for the other ear. Probably doesn't need to be as long. And I'm just using scrap pieces of Decaville like that I have. Doesn't have to be anything fancy because nobody's ever going to see it unless their bag falls apart, and then I guess it really doesn't matter if your bag has fallen apart. You don't care. You just care more about that your bag fell apart. So I'm actually going to put this on the back. Approximately right where I'm going to sew that ear. It looks like I could cut some of this off right there. And that'll still, yeah, they still have Decaville back there. I guess it doesn't need to go as low as this. Okay. And then we'll put some over here too. You got to get the tape to release. There we go. So I'm just going to do this by feel. That looks like where about it'll be. Okay, let's take this ear. Now I do have like kind of an excess here of Decaville light, so I'm just going to cut a little bit off so there's not so much under there, because we really don't need all that. And then we're going to take our lining piece that has the slip pocket on it. We're going to find our middles. Don't know why I can't seem to find that one. I might have cut it. I'm going to put another little clippy in there. See if I can find it that way. And we'll just so now we're just going to baste this on. Just going to cut this excess lining away. Okay, so now our front and our backs are both done. So I can't believe I did it again. I did not have the camera recording, and I did the zipper panel. So let me show you on this other fabric how we do this. So you would have your one zipper panel and your one lining that's the same size. You have your zipper. Put double-sided tape on one edge of each of your pieces. Put your zipper tape right side down to right side. Line those up like that. And then use your double-sided tape and make a sandwich out of your zipper. And then you sew along 3/8 inch along that zipper. And then after you get that part done, then you open it up. I don't know if I can show you on this. Let's see if I can do this. Put a couple of clippies in here, maybe a little bit. Then you open it up and you pull your zipper like this, match up your lining with your material, and then you top stitch all down the zipper. And you do the same thing then for the other side like this. And I'm so sorry I messed that up again by not recording. I will be making another Hugo bag soon, so when I do get the other one done, I'll link it so you can see what I mean. But I think you can probably get it with this. But, and once again, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I keep not having the camera on. Let's put our zipper pull on. You can use 2 zipper pulls. I'm only going to use 1 on this bag because I only have 1 of this kind of zipper pull, so I'm only going to use 1. But I want to put it on so I don't forget, because the way my day's going, it wouldn't surprise me if I forgot to put the zipper pull on and sewed it shut. Okay, now I'm just going to pull that up to the middle there so I know where it is. Okay, we're going to get started on our handle now. I'm doing the handle a little bit different than the pattern calls for. I did make it 22 inches long, and I got this idea from Kasaya on Saya Swag. She did her handle this way, and I really liked it. So that's how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to mark 3/8 on each side. There we are. And then I'm going to take some double-sided tape, put down the side of it, 1 on each side. And I'm just going to fold at the line there, which is right about where my double-sided tape is. There we go. And then I'm going to fold these in half. I'm going to sew these at 1/4 of an inch on each side. Okay, so we got that much of our handle done. We're going to find our middle point on our handle. Give it a mark. Okay. Then I'm going to go 4 inches on each side. And I'm going to go 4 inches on this side. Now I'm going to sew an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance on, oops, not that one. This one I want to erase. Okay, I'm going to sew 1/8 of an inch box in this area right here. Now I backstitched because my thread is dark enough that it won't really matter. You won't really see it. Okay, let's get this little piece right here. Now we need to make our markings. You can see that a little bit. So we're going to put, first I guess I need to mark on the back side some markings, and it will be in the pattern how far you need to, where you need to put your marks at. Oh, I did that wrong. I need to go the other way. This way. Okay. And then we're going to get our double-sided tape, and we're going to put some right there, and then we're going to put some right here, and same with here. And then we're going to need our connectors, whether they're D-rings or whatever. I'm going to use these connectors. And I want my folded edge to be not towards the zipper. So I'm going to make sure that when I line it up, it's not towards the zipper. I'm going to make it away from the zipper. Oh, and you know, I need to turn around and put these marks up here so I can see them too, so I can, when I top stitch. Because we need to be able to see them from the top too. There we go. So I'm going to erase these marks back here so we don't see them. We don't need them anymore because I got the ones on the front. Now that I got my tape down. And our 3/8 edge that we marked over here, we're going to put our bottom of our handle right there. Before we do that though, don't forget your connector like I almost did, or you'll sew it without a connector. So find your 3/8 inch mark that you made, Oh, and I said I wanted the folded edge to the back, so I better do that. Okay. So line the end of the handle up with the end of our panel. Pull this all the way down here so we know where it is. Well, this tape, I don't know why it's being so stubborn. I usually don't have this much trouble. I don't know if I got oil on my leather. Wow, that took a lot. Okay, line that up. Keep that kind of lined up. So then what we're going to do eventually is we're going to sew 1/8 of an inch up this way, 1/8 of an inch over, back down, and then 1/8 of an inch down, over, and up. Okay. So let's see if we can take this one off now. Use this trick and see if it works. I think it did. Yep. Okay. And we're going to put our other triangle on here. Put it right there. Once again, we're going to line up our edge for edge. Okay, and then you have your little handle right there. Okay. We're just sewing to the mark we made. Right there. Put that down. Now we're going to sew from this line down to the marks we made down here. This line to this line, and sew across. Make sure your hardware is out of the way. If you have to use a hump jumper, go ahead. Now, if you wanted, I didn't really care because my lining is black. You could have lifted your lining up like this, and then you wouldn't see the lines back here. But I don't care because it's black, so I don't care. So now we're just going to do the same thing on this other side. Okay, now we're done with that. Got our little handle here. Got a zipper there. And there we go. Just for extra strength, I'm going to put some rivets in. I'm going to put a rivet here, a rivet here, a rivet here, and a rivet there. Just to give it a little extra security. Let's get our rivets. Don't think it cut all the way to the back. That time it did. Let's see if this one did. I don't think that one did either. Now, once again, these rivets will show on the back. So if you don't want them to show, you can lift up that piece of lining and put your rivets on there with that out of so that the lining covers it up. Looks like that one went. Okay, so there's our rivets. And now I'm going to go set these rivets and then we'll come back for the next part. So now we have our rivets in. Our handle is done. The next thing we're going to work on is our purse feet. So I'm going to set this here. And we're going to mark our holes. So we just line that all up. Okay, we got those there. We have those purse feet. Punch your holes. Put our purse feet in. These just happen to be little purse feet that you just poke them in and spread the prongs in the back. This isn't a very big bag, so I didn't figure we needed really big feet. Now I'm going to put a little bit of duct tape behind each piece. Once again, to keep the prongs from digging into the lining. You could use duct tape, you could use double-sided tape, whatever you want to use. I just have this duct tape, so I'm going to use it till it's all gone. Okay, we're getting almost done here. Okay, now we're going to put these together. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew this lining down so that I make sure it gets caught in the seam when we do the next step. Let's go ahead and cut off this extra zipper, because we don't need that anymore. Now we're going to take our bottom piece, just put it right up against there. Okay, I do it right there, and we're going to do it at our seam allowance. Okay, then we need to sew this piece. When we do, we need to make sure that these zipper pieces are together. So I am going to put a couple of clips on it just to make sure. By that zipper piece. And you're going to sew through all of them, all the layers at the seam allowance. I don't know why they didn't have us sew the lining on. So I'm going to sew the lining on. I may have done this wrong. But that lining's got to go on somehow, so we'll put it right there. So I think I'm going to top stitch it like this. And I probably should have done it in white, but we'll just leave it in black. There's our centers. Now we're going to take our bags and start putting this together. So start with whichever side you want, although the wide panel is the back. Okay, this wide panel is the back of your bag. I think I'm going to use some of this black binding and bind this edge before I put it together, because this edge should not be like this. So sometimes even if you mess up, there's a way to fix it. You just got to figure it out. Let's do the same thing with and since we're here, I'm going to go ahead and sew, baste down this lining to the bottom here. All right, now we'll go back to sewing our pieces together. I think we're going to have more trouble when we get ready to sew this on with that piping. We're going to guess them by gosh. So sure about these centers, and it's so thick. Let's mark that. I mark that. Okay. Well, that doesn't look very even. That one's right. It's just that one that's not right. Okay. All right. Now, pick up our center there. Okay, we're going to see how this works. I always sew the gusset side. So we shall see. Here we go. I think if we just take our time, go slow. I am going to use my stiletto for sure. And you are going to have to manhandle the bag a little bit. I think I want to start at the bottom. And I'm pretty much just going to do a basting stitch this first time around. I'm trying to make sure my piping is not in the way. Some of this I should have. I think I'm going to put my zipper foot on. See if I can do this. Let's see if I can get around it. I'm going to try and get around this, but I will. I think I can get around this time with the regular foot, but for sure next time I will do put my zipper foot on. And you know, the thing is, this can come out great or it can be a total disaster, but we'll see. I may be just worrying about nothing. Okay, I have this mess up right here. It's right about where I started. So I guess it just didn't catch that well. So let's go back. It kind of popped out anyway, so let's go back. That's probably where I decided, couldn't figure out whether I was going to change my needle or not. So I think I can fix that. Okay, it's in there. Okay. I think we got it. Let's look in there and see. It looks pretty good. Just because I want to see what it looks like, I'm going to turn it out. And see. Now we do have a whole nother line. See, I missed it. Pulled through there too, but that's okay. We've got more stitching to do. That was just a kind of a first, and I actually have more room than I think I have. So I think if I put my zipper foot on, I can get closer to this seam than what I am. So I think it's going to be okay once we get the final thing done. Okay, we're going to take a break, and I'm going to change my pressure foot. Okay, I got my foot changed. I'm going to try and go around this one more time and see if I can get those spots a little bit better now that I have this different foot on. And then we'll put the binding on. So we need still didn't get this piece right here good enough because I can see that stitching there and it's not. The other spots look pretty good. But I really need to fix this piece down here. It's just not going over far enough. But yet it thinks it's up against the binding. So we're going to take a break. I'm going to see if I can fix this and we'll be right back. Okay, I did have to take out the seam down here and redo it, and I got it where it needs to be now with our piping out there. It was a little trickier than I thought. So put that back out. We're going to now put our binding on. I use this elastic binding I get it from Saya Swag. Before I do that, I need to sew the ends together, right sides together, so that I have a seam. And while I'm at it, I'm going to sew the other one too. Right sides together. Okay, and then that's all ready to go when we do our other side. Melt the edges there. It's not supposed to. Okay, there we go. And let's melt this one too while we're at it. Otherwise I might forget. All right, now we can start putting our binding on. I just start at the bottom. Might help if we turn it right side out. Once again, these seams are pretty thick. So I'm going to use these bigger clips. I got these off of Amazon. I was watching some video and somebody had used them and I thought, oh, I need those instead of breaking my clips. Put my welting foot on instead of my zipper foot. I'm not sure the zipper foot is going to work. Okay, my zipper foot didn't seem to be working all that well. So I put my welting foot or piping foot back on. And we'll see if that helps. This is so thick that it's just really giving me issues. So let's see if this helps. sewed on that side. It did not cover this side, these areas, and I think it's because of the thickness of the seam is too thick with the foam, which the good thing is, okay, because I'm using black thread on this black, it's not gonna look that bad. And I'm just gonna sew this down where it missed it. I think it just slipped. One of them. Okay. Okay, it's not horribly awful. Let's see what the piping looks like out here, if I missed it or if I forgot it. Okay. Well, that's pretty good. That's how it should look. Nice and tight up against there. Well, that looks way better than I thought it would. And the inside doesn't look bad. So we got through all of those issues pretty good. Let's see what happens when we do the front. So we're just going to do the same thing again. Turn this inside out. We're going to open the zipper because it makes it easier to do this side if it's got the zipper open. We've got our right side, we've got our center, we got a center here, we got a center there, we have a center. Do we have a center here? There's the center here. Boy, that was little enough, I might have accidentally missed it. So I think what my main problem was when I made my piping is I didn't cut my material wide enough. This is pre-made and it's looks like it's a little bit wider through this area than mine is. So that might have been what I done wrong. Make sure when you're clipping this in, you move his little ears out of the way. You don't want to sew his ears. And this binding has been an experience. I don't know if I'd try, well, I think I would try another one with binding the right way so that I could have it the right width. And now I lost that center spot. I think it's right there. So this has been a challenge. It wasn't totally wasted. I learned a lot. So here we go again. Hopefully the welting foot will make a difference. The zipper foot did okay, but hopefully the welting foot will do better. You do have to kind of manhandle your bag, push it down. Don't be afraid to make it go where you want it to go. Let's look at it and see how we did. Part looks pretty good. I got a little bit right here that I could go closer in, so I'll go closer there. I got a little bit up on the piping right there. Now my question is, it's so hard. The rest of it looks really good except for that one spot up here. Let's see if I can do just a little bit better right there. And probably pause this. Oh, that was much better. Okay, we were able to fix that. So some fixes are simple, some maybe not. There, I think. Pull this piece back over. I think I'm gonna go the other way. Just because that's the way I should be going. I'll put some right there. That's pretty good there. Okay. So it's pretty good. Like I said before, this isn't the best piping I've ever done. But it's not 100% awful either. And if you look at store-bought bags, you will see that their binding sometimes is not the best either. So you can't be too hard on yourself. Okay, let's turn this out. Let's see what we have. Turn and burn. Fix those curves. So all in all, oh, he's cute. I think he turned out pretty cute. We just have the strap left to go, the crossbody strap. I think the piping doesn't look too bad. I think it would have been better, like I said, had I done it the right width. The little slip pocket looks so cute back here. And the inside doesn't look shabby. Looks pretty decent, actually. There's some strings down here I don't want in here, though. So I'll clean that inside up. I'm going to take a little break, and then we'll come back and we will finish the crossbody strap, and we will be all done with this. See you shortly. Okay, all we have left to do is to build our crossbody strap. So we have a slide adjuster. Put it on. I did melt my ends already of my webbing. Like that. Make sure it stays straight. Put your hook on, and then you're going to go back up through, that side, and then back down on the inside. Need some room to work here. Okay. Then we're going to put a couple of rivets. Move that out of our way. I'm going to put a couple of rivets in here. A little bit more room there. There we go. So I'm going to put a couple of holes in this. There's one. I'm going to put another one so that there's two in here. Make sure this, get that out of my way. Make sure that's relatively straight. There we go. We're going to put our little rivets in there. If I can get it in there. There's one. There's the other one. Put that in there. Get it back to put on it. Just like that. And then we need to put this one in. The other hole. Where's the hole? There it is. Come on, go through there. I know there's a hole there. I can see it. Okay, why can't I get this through the hole? Maybe I gotta, maybe it didn't go all the way through. It might not have went all the way through. Maybe I just left a dent. There's that. Okay, now this time I know it went through. There we go. Once I know it went through. So now I'll go over and set these rivets. Okay, so those are set. And we're going to take the other end. And we're just going to make sure it's straight. Slide that over like that. I'm just going to put a couple holes in this side. And we'll put our rivets in there. There's the hole for that one. There's the hole for that one. And the hole for this one. Okay. I'll put the backs on. I gotta get another back here. And put it on there. And I'm going to set these rivets. Okay, those rivets are set. And then we just clip these on the, like that. Make this shorter. Now I did make this extra long for a reason. So that if you want, you can make this a backpack version. And let me show you how here in a minute. So normally you'd have your crossbody strap like this. Okay? Hope you can see that. That'd be your crossbody strap. But if you want to wear it like a backpack, you can adjust this out. So your strap is longer. You can put your strap, your crossbody strap, through the handle, clip it to the side, and you can use this for a back. You can wear it as a backpack if you do it like that. So either way works. I'm going to lower this back. All in all, for all the trouble I had with the piping, I don't think it turned out that bad. Next time, like I said, make sure your piping, if you make one, make sure your and you make your own piping, make sure it's the right size. Because I sure didn't, obviously, and it did. That's what did cause me some issues. So, all in all, I hope you enjoyed liking this, or enjoyed making this bag with me. Hope you liked it. Cute little raccoon. And like and subscribe, and you'll see more videos. I will do more Hugo bag videos, so you will see that it does go quite easy. But I think he's adorable. Front and back. So we'll see you next time.